In this chapter, we're going to learn the practice of destiny tracking, of future tracking. But before we do any tracking, we have to reinforce our sacred space, recreate the sacred space that we installed at the beginning of our program by calling on the 4 archetypes of the 4 directions, beginning with the serpent, the jaguar, the hummingbird, and the eagle, and then heaven and earth. So join me as we summon the 4 guardians, that they be with us and protect us and guide us. To the winds of the south, great serpent, mother of the waters, we call on you, mother. Come and wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us your ways, the beauty way, to walk with beauty on the earth, to touch everyone we touch with beauty. Be with us, mother. Aho. To the winds of the west, mother, sister, jaguar, this is your medicine we summon. Come and be with us, mother. Teach us the ways through the thick of the forest, those dark and hidden places where we can discover our great treasures. Teach us the ways of fearlessness, the journey beyond death. Be with us. Aho. To the winds of the north, grandmothers and grandfathers, ancient ones, guardians and keepers of this land, we summon you. We call on you. Come and warm your hands by our fire. Hummingbird, teach us your lessons of drinking only from the nectar of life, of the great journey, of the epic journey that we came here to take and to follow. Show us your ways. Aho. And to the winds of the east, the place of the rising sun, eagle, condor, come to us, mother. Fly high above us. Teach us your ways, the ways of vision, of clarity, of foresight. Teach us to see through the folds of time. Teach us to track who we are becoming, that new species that's appearing on the earth, that is us. Aho. And Pachamama, great mother, Mother Earth, great mother, thank you, mother, for all of your blessings, for your breath and your waters, and to all our relations, the stone people, the plant people, the creepy crawlies, the winged, the furred, the feathered, all our relations. Thank you, mother, for holding us so sweetly, for all of the nourishment you bring to us. Aho. Taita, Father, Son, Grandmother Moon, to all the star nations, our star brothers and sisters, Yapanapukuna, the sacred mountains of this land, and all the ancient ones, the lineages of medicine men and women that go back to the very beginning of time and even beyond. We call on you. Bless us. Thank you for allowing us to sing the song of life one more day. Aho. And now within sacred space, we can venture to step outside of time. We've created the first kind of sacred space connecting us to the 4 directions. This sacred space connects us to the ecosphere. The next sacred space that we create is to step outside of time. It connects us to the noosphere, to that profound sphere of ancient wisdom that extends backwards to the past and forwards into the future along the arrow of time. And we do this by opening our Viracocha, expanding that luminous orb above our heads. On an in-breath, beginning to bring our hands up and into this radiant sun and expanding it around us, enveloping ourselves in the radiance of that primordial light. When I first ventured to the Andes, I had read the literature. I had read the anthropology and the archaeology. I was an anthropologist. And I learned about the sun god, Inti. Inti was the name of the sun god. And then I realized that that was narrow vision, tunnel vision on the part of anthropologists, that the sun was not what they worshipped. What they honored and worshipped was the light. Inti was the sun, but the light was Ti. That's why the sacred lake on top of the world is Lake Titicaca, the place of the origin of the light. That's why the sacred city of the ancient ones was called Tiahuanacu, the place of the birth of the light. The Inti refer to the light. The sun, to the ancient ones, was simply a hole in the sky. This is where the light leaked in through. They didn't know that the sun was a bundle of burning gas 1,000,000 times the size of the earth, with these nuclear furnaces shooting bursts of light towards the earth. They saw it in the sky as a hole in the sky that the light streamed in through. And it was the light that they honored and celebrated. They understood that the light was that the food chain started with light, that we were light tightly packaged into matter, that plants would take light and turn it into carbohydrates, into food for us, and we would eat that plants, nutrient-dense plants, that was pure sunlight. And the closer you ate to the sun, the more luminous you became. That's why in the medicine way, at some point, we have to stop eating the flesh of animals. Remember, the animals are sacred. The word animal comes from the anima. Anima is the Latin word for the soul. They are the soul of Gaia, of the Pachamama. And the terrible mistake that happened in human evolution when we began to think that we were the lords of the animals, that we could look at a bison and think of it not as a sacred being, but as food or meat. These things that we call food are extraordinary creatures. And in fact, the hunters, when they would go to hunt for an animal, they would meditate and dance around a fire and call on the spirit of the animal and ask the Lord of the beast. The Lord of the beast was the Great Spirit, to give them one of its own children. And then they would go on the hunt. And the hunt had nothing to do with tracking and stalking and getting near to your prey and then shooting it. The hunt had to do with coming into alignment with the Lord of all creatures and asking that an offering be gifted to you. And frequently, that creature, that animal, would walk out of the rainforest to offer itself to you. And you didn't need to go track it and stalk it and hunt it. It was a sacred offering that was only very occasional and very rare. So we didn't have meat 3 times a day. We didn't have a meat-based paleo diet. It was paleo because it was Paleolithic, but it was not a carnivorous diet, where we were taking the lives of these sacred creatures indiscriminately. A shaman needs to eat close to the sun. The closer to the light you eat, the better. Eventually, I'm sure we'll be able to go out and photosynthesize, but we're not quite there yet. So it was the light that was worshipped and celebrated, and the name of the light was Ti. And all future tracking had to do with stepping into the light of possibility, bringing the possible to the light, out of the darkness, bringing the possible to the light, and that would install it in the future timeline of the village or of the individual. That would collapse it from infinity, before time, into the arrow of time itself. It's really quite simple. I'll show you how it works, and then we're going to do it. Please pardon my very childlike art, but this is what we call the momentum tunnel. The momentum tunnel. So here we have the solid cord of light of the past. It's right here, a solid cord. Here possibilities have converged and coalesced into a single event. All of the people you might have had dinner with last week were now collapsed to only those two people that you saw. And the past, the solid chord of light, has 4 coordinates, 3 coordinates of space and 1 coordinate of time. And this is the momentum tunnel of the future. These are individual strands of light. So these are possible destiny lines. And in this destiny line, that's not a very good one. For example, this could be one in which you're run over by a bicycle or something terrible happens. And this destiny line doesn't have a lot of probability either. This is the one maybe where you win the lottery, or maybe where you recover your health if you're recovering from a very challenging condition. But most of our possibilities will be along these lines. It's like a bowling ball. Once you set a bowling ball into motion, it will continue moving in the direction you sent it. It's not going to make a quick left turn. So this is the momentum tunnel. This is where the momentum of our lives is taking us. If you have not been able to make time to meditate and to exercise and to eat right before the year ended, your New Year's resolutions of meditating every day, quieting the mind, practicing generosity, eating right, and exercising, we know what's going to happen, right? We're going to continue along the momentum tunnel, trying to squeeze our meditation into our busy day. So what we want to do is to be able to shift the momentum tunnel. If this is the destiny that we're tracking for, we want to be able to shift the momentum tunnel so that all of our possibilities are aligned along that destiny that we seek. And here's how it works. 99% of our possible futures are right along that momentum tunnel. And there's only a less than 1% probability that you're going to get hit by a bicycle if you're hiking in the mountains. Well, maybe not. But it's very slim, and there's probably way less than 1% chance that you'll win the lottery or that you'll recover from a serious illness, because all the statistics say that this is what happens to people that get sick that way. So what the shaman wants to do is to drain the momentum from this momentum tunnel and get it to support this desirable destiny. The way that this happens at a collective level is that every full moon, medicine men and women are graduates, shamans around the world. They gather to pray peace into being. They gather around the fire and hold the fire ceremony where they future track. They track for the future of the earth, for a future where the rivers are clean and you can breathe the air, the food is not poisoned, and humans are living in peace with each other. And they know that this is not very probable. They know that what's probable is that we're going to keep burning coal, that we're going to keep having presidents and dictators that start wars, that people are still going to be cheating and stealing, and we're still going to continue to be parasites abusing Mother Earth. That's the probable. We know that. But the shamans know that in the act of tracking for the possible and finding it, that world in which we live in peace with each other, where we're stewards and caretakers of the garden, the act of finding it makes it a little bit more probable, increases the probability. Not only does it increase the probability at a collective level, it makes it inevitable in your world. Your world becomes one in which your food is clean and your air is clean and your water is drinkable. Your world receives the immediate benefit. And this is the absolute key. This is the key to future tracking. It cannot be about me first. It has to be about Mother Earth, Gaia first, and then everything is bestowed upon you. I know I've said this before. Very important concept. Then you're going to be allowed to find that destiny that you seek, where there's only 1% or less than 1% probability. Years ago at a dinner party, I met a physicist. I was living in California at Stanford, and he was one of the leading physicists at the linear accelerator at Stanford University, where they accelerate particles to pretty much close to the speed of light to try to determine if the universe was going to continue expanding forever or if it was going to begin to contract. What they called the big crunch instead of the big bang. Was it going to continue expanding and to the point that maybe in a few billion years you might not see any stars from Earth any longer? Or would it begin to contract again and go through that big collapse? And in fascinating research, I met Steve and we had a lovely conversation. And then a couple of weeks later, he calls me and says, and I ask him, Steve, what's the verdict for the universe? Are we going to make it? He says, well, the science is indicating that we're going to continue expanding forever. But the news is not so good for me. And then he shared with me that he had been diagnosed with a very aggressive cancer, late stage, 6 months to live. And he says to me, I'm a scientist. I've done the research. It's not good news. And he asked if he could work with me. And he went on to explain to me that 98% of the people that have this kind of condition die within 6 months. The 2% that survive 6 months, 99% of those die within 18 months. And the 1% that's left generally is crippled for life. Not very good odds. So we began working together using the shamanic skills that we train our students in. So we did a resetting of the fight or flight system. We did soul retrieval. We did extracting intrusive entities and energies. And we also did illuminations to upgrade the quality of the energy field. But he was not improving. And then we began to future track. I began to track along his timeline and finding that there was death, because that was the probability. And then I found that 2% window and tracked through that 2% window till I found a future healed state. And in finding it and bringing it to the light, I installed it in his timeline. And that future healed state, actually both of us found it at the same time because he was journeying with me. And that future healed state reached back like a giant hand to pull him towards that state. And that was that 1% window. But to go through that 1% window, he had to change 99% of his life. He had to give up that top job at Stanford University, that highly competitive and stressful. He had to change his diet. He had to begin exercising. He had to turn his life into a meditation. He prioritized meditating and then would schedule everything around his meditation schedule instead of having to squeeze it into his busy day. And 6 months later, I married him and his wife. And the last I heard from him was 9 years after that, where he sent me a postcard from Alaska telling me that he had become a wood carver and he was healthy and in love and having a wonderful life. So the key here is that both of us found that future healed state. I could not find it alone. Both of us had to journey and see it, feel it, sense it, and receive it as a gift from Spirit. Otherwise, we shamans would be miracle makers and magicians. No, the work has to be done by the client. And in this kind of journey, you're really being the companion. You're the guide. But you cannot change a person's destiny unless they select it themselves. Otherwise, you'll be doing sorcery. So we want to end up with this. We want to end up with a new momentum tunnel here where suddenly 99% of our possibilities are in that where the 1% was before. We need to shift the momentum tunnel so that what was before only plausible and possible now is probable. And that takes, of course, changing 99% of the system. And how do we do it? Well, we do it by taking it on at all four levels. We shift the energetics at the level of ego. We shift the sacred map at the level of hummingbird, drink only from the flowers of the future possibilities. We shift it at the level of jaguar by letting go of toxic emotions and limiting beliefs. And we shift it at the level of serpent by making the lifestyle choices that you know will lead you to lifelong health. Okay, I hope that wasn't too complicated. So in journeying to the future, remember the future is only when we speak of within the arrow of time. The shamans speak about journeying to the upper world of infinite possibilities, stepping outside of the arrow of time. When we journey to the upper world, we have to get to the fifth level. And the fifth level is all of our future possibilities. We have to go through the realm of the stone people and the domain of the plant people and the realm of the spirit animals and into our fourth world, which is the world of our ancestors. And then we have to step up to that fifth world. We spoke about these before. Curious how these worlds are a mirror of our physical world here, where we have the stone people world is the mineral kingdom. Then we have the plant kingdom, and then the animal kingdom. And then we have that privileged place that we share with the orcas, with the whales, the dolphins, the other creatures that are taking part in this accelerated experiment in consciousness, that don't have death programmed into their DNA. But to future track, to find the destiny that we're looking for, we have to get to that fifth world. So in the process of learning our way back home, we're able to make this journey that all of us inevitably will make when we leave our physical bodies behind. We'll be able to make it today. We'll learn the way back home. The shaman learns to have allies in each one of these realms, so that the allies in the stone people realm are the stones in her altar, in her mesa, the sacred stones. So for example, I have these stones. This is from one of the holy mountains in the Andes where the shamans go for their high initiations. And this stone has a consciousness. We were taught, of course, that stones don't have consciousness. They don't eat, they don't move, they don't learn. Well, shamans know that everything is infused with consciousness. It has not only a consciousness, but the memories of the energy of that holy mountain. And then I have this other one. This is a meteorite. This stone is called the Hanak Pacha Rumi, a stone from the upper world, from the Hanak Pacha. But it's still a stone, it's a meteorite, it's a star traveler. At the level of the plants, I have my medicine plants. What are the medicine plants that I work with? Well, some of them are the flower remedies, like the Bach flower remedies. I love them. We even make our own flower remedies from the flowers in our garden. I have a relationship with the lavender. Oh, it's exquisite. And the spirit of this plant is so powerful. The lilies. So the lilies were used 1,500 years ago to regulate blood sugar, to control your blood sugar. The French lilies, the French lilac. And it's still used today. So at the animal realm, I have my feathers, my medicine feathers, and I have an eagle claw. This connects me to these different realms where I have developed allies. You develop allies in each of these realms. But when we explore them, we have to explore them with a guide. We need a guide to take us safely through them. There are dangers in these realms. The danger is that you can lose yourself. That's why we open sacred space, we open Viracocha, and we're going to take our tracking jaguar with us, so that as we explore each one of these realms, our jaguar is able to lead us through them so we can see them, get a sense of them, and then bring us back to that lift, to that cord of light that we're going to be following up. This is the light of T, the sacred light, that we'll be following up to the fourth world. And then we'll be looking for that staircase or that rope or whatever it is that you want to use to come through that opening in the sky into the world of our becoming, to meet who you are becoming 10,000 years from today, but not only to meet that self and have a cup of tea, but to get the downloads, get the codes and the downloads in each one of your chakras so you can embody that today. You can become that self. It can begin to inform your physiology, your repair systems, your regeneration in your body, your brain. You're going to be informed now not only by your genetics that you inherited from your family, but by your future genetics, by who you are becoming in the future.